So my friend Jordan is here. He's now the reigning champion of the most visited guest on this show, and that's because I think I have the most fun on our episodes sometimes because we just get stupid and it's good fun. So yeah, Jordan's here. We're talking about Jurassic World Rebirth, which didn't totally make sense to me as a title.
No, because the world is not being reborn. Like if you when you watch the movie.
No, it's like dying. Like literally they said these are the only ones left. Let's go find them.
Yeah.
So the name was odd. That was weird to me, but I was intrigued because I'm a sucker for these movies because I don't really know why. I just am, except for that very last one of the last like little trilogy set. That was so terrible. I will never watch it again with the bugs and the sneaking around and the silliness. Like I'm not watching the bug park one again. Basically, the bar was on the floor. So these guys had, only up to go from where we were last time. And I'll be honest, they brought in Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey, and they needed to, because those were probably the two people you could get me to be interested in watching a movie about. And I thought the casting overall for the movie was pretty great, actually, this time around too.
I did too. Yeah, I was nervous to see Scarlett Johansson in that because I think very highly of her, and I was really nervous of that franchise in general. Just kind of sucks now, and so yeah, I was like, man, she's a better actress than this. What is she doing here? Like she's really good in all the Wes Anderson stuff she does. Like I just like her, and got it was nervous, but she was a bright spot in that movie. This movie did feel like a return to form for the franchise.
It definitely course corrected back to what we like about these movies. If I had to rate them, it's probably fourth. I would think. I would probably say original, obviously, then the first one with Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah.
And Vince
it's
Vaughn
not Camp
is
Cretaceous,
in it.
Is it?
No, I think that's like a TV show.
Oh, is it?
It's I think it's the second one.
The Lost World Jurassic Park in '97.
Yeah, I think that's the one. That one's pretty fun because you don't we're in uncharted territory still. We don't really know what might happen. Then I would say this one, it was pretty close after that. So honestly, did pretty well for what it was up against. And I feel like it was maybe just a little. It could have been edited a little more, trimmed down a little bit. I feel like we were slow through some moments or some phases of things, but again, I did like it. I did have fun watching it, and Scarlett Johansson was really good. We were just talking about this too, because you mentioned you were nervous about her being in this franchise, and we talked about right before I came up here, because I realized that they treated the genders really well. I felt like in this movie, so normally if there's a male academic, he is usually not a man. And kind of made a big deal about how he's really chosen his brain over learning how to do anything physically capable. And that was not felt here. I felt like he was just kind of a normal level dude that was on equal footing with everyone else that's never been out in the Jurassic World.
He climbed the rocks and
he was
worked the boat, right?
I'm as capable as you are for the most part. Other than Scarlett can definitely outshoot me, but that's her job. So I felt like that was good. But then there also wasn't a over masculine. It wasn't he started in a certain place and then they didn't make him end in a certain place either. It wasn't and now he's this manly man and we he transformed or anything. He was just kind of a normal dude the whole time who just happened to be an academic. And I felt like it was similar with her. She was just kind of a normal female who has a weird job. But I didn't feel like they, for as much as they could have and usually do, I didn't feel like they hypersexualized her in that way. Normally it's you live on the edge, so you must also be kind of trashy.
Yeah, right.
And that wasn't a thing.
They flirted a little bit, but it wasn't it wasn't intense. Yeah. I felt at one point, Abby and I were talking about this, that either of them could have been either gender and it wouldn't have felt different.
Yes, true. I would agree with that. They could have totally changed parts and it would have worked still.
Yeah. And the movie passes the best test, so that's cool. And they demonized the one macho man. They demonized the one Australian guy that wanted to shoot the dinosaurs, right? It's the Macho Man got like a
Oh,
bad
the
rap.
villain
So I
guy?
think the blonde haired dude that gets eaten by one of the fish dinosaurs.
That guy, yeah. Okay,
yeah, that guy.
okay.
He's like just a random henchman. Like as soon as you meet his character, you know he's dying to a dinosaur.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. So yes, that is reminding me now of if you have a bad personality, you are probably going to get eaten by a dinosaur.
Yeah, for sure. It's science.
The one thing for sure that you know is there will be kids in this movie at some point. 2, those children will be traumatized severely, but they will not die. They will not. Their nervous system will be fried to bits, but they will be physically fine. So those are 2 of them. And then that in this universe, a truth is that dinosaurs attract bleeding heart academics and dirty billionaires, like the kind that deal with arms dealers and have those guys for friends. There will be heavy brand product placement that you will find both blatant and comforting. Like a bag of Cheetos that was like very well prominently placed when they're sneaking around that like gas station type thing on the island towards the end. And like the Snickers bar at the beginning of the movie, which first of all, if we get to the plot here of this movie, the first scene made me think we were going to have an entirely different kind of movie. Because there's this guy that ate the Snickers, basically was the least healthy for his life decision he could have ever made that day. He ate a Snickers at work, and the wrapper got sucked up into some like door jam thing, which caused very fragile system, by the way. The door security to fail for these like experimental dinosaurs, and then she basically had his coworker had to like lock him in there with this mutant monster dinosaur, and he's like screaming for help. Please let me out. And she just like, he's sad. Like up against the glass and he's just gonna die. It was very like alien like, I felt like. Or no, Independence Day is kind of what it reminded me of. The like doctor getting like trapped in there with the alien thing. And so, yeah, they were doing these experiments on the premise of this is a very odd premise, I will say though. Like, not that the other premises are completely normal, but the genetic, so like not only did the original one, it was like they were trying to recreate dinosaurs as closely to the originals as possible. And they had to use other animal DNA because they just needed to fill in the gaps. But they didn't, it was like a have to, like not because we were trying to make something different.
Yeah. Yeah, to say the least.
And there was some of them with like really weird malformed kind of skulls that were really kind of, it was sad, honestly. Like,
yeah,
someone made you in a way you weren't meant to have to live, and like, yeah. We learned a lot about the academics character in the one scene where they went into this fault where the guy ate the Snickers 17 years ago, and stuff broke out. We learned a lot about that academics character when he went into there for the first time 17 years later and saw the double-headed like raptor or whatever, and he was just like horrified by what he was looking at. Like we learned that this is like a really empathetic person that like really loves these creatures, and the idea that like somebody made bastardizations of them is like very upsetting to him. You know, I really liked that little piece of scenery that like gave us so much about who that man was. Like it really
did. Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really care about him. Like, I care because he's the main character, but, like, I didn't know about him. He likes these things. He's an academic, but he's willing to help this billion-dollar company, whatever.
Right. It was
this is actually very empathetic. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy's in the field at all because he cares so much about these things. And he is, like, trying to keep any kind of, like, importance of them alive a little bit because he cares so much about them. There was a line. Yeah, I felt like there's a line I'm trying to look up because he said something. Somebody was like, "Oh yeah, you have a problem with this," and he like leveled it up. And I don't want to say it wrong. Where he was like, they said basically something was like,
"Oh, it's a crime. You think it's a crime?" He's like, "I think it's a crime."
He said, "You think it's a crime to kill a dinosaur?" And he said, "Killing a dinosaur is a sin." And I was like, that told us a lot about him too. I felt like in that line, he just like changed a word, but to him it was like, it's not legally wrong, it's morally wrong. And so that was like more important to him.
Yeah. Even if it's legally wrong, that's not even the worst thing, right? Like it's right.
Yeah. His character, I did feel like they handled them in a way that they weren't like tropes, but they also didn't really develop them a lot. But that is kind of normal for this genre, I feel. This franchise, so to speak. Like, we don't get a lot. Jeff Goldblum's character is probably the most we ever get out of anyone, because he's like over the course of several movies, and they bring in more of his like personal life characters. But like Chris Pratt's character kind of doesn't get a whole lot of depth, and really the redhead from the last series, it's the fact that I don't even know her name is terrible. But like she was just not enjoyable or relatable to me in any way. Like, I did not feel represented by her. It was just not handled great. And so like, but they didn't get a lot of development, and that's pretty normal. But like, you're right, I feel like the personality pieces, at least we got some hints at with like the little things. But yeah, because even Mahershala, his character, like having the like reaction to the fact that the guy brought his kids out into this water and like kind of dealing with his stuff a little bit, that was really, they really handled all of the characters pretty evenly. Like, even the villain was not too villainy. He was villainish. I wanted him to be Orlando Bloom the whole time.
Yeah.
It was like Orlando Bloom-like, but he was not him. And I wanted that, and I also was like, why couldn't Jonathan Bailey be British? Just let him be British. Well, I like it when he's British. Yeah.
You know, the billionaire is really interesting because he's just a classic billionaire. Hey, I'm going to make this product and make a bunch of money, and the world will continue the way it does.
He's not even the billionaire. He like works for the billionaires, right?
Right. I'm sure he stood to make a bunch of money from that, but you're right. He's just like a guy that works at that company.
Otherwise, he would not be out there.
Right. And so his character struck me as somebody that just broke over time. Like, he didn't handle the jungle well, and didn't handle, I don't know, that like or like the pressure or like life or death situations. He's just like fight or flight kicked in, and he just has that mentality of like, you know.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't help the girl on the boat, it's not because he's trying to kill her. It's just because he's like, if I help you, I put myself at risk. And
yeah,
you know.
I think he just was very pragmatic, and like, I mean, if you work for a billionaire, what happens if you don't follow through?
Right.
I have no idea. Like, maybe getting eaten by a dinosaur is not the worst thing that might happen to you. I don't know. You might get disappeared in a very weird way. I have no idea. Or
we all do things at our jobs. If you have like a corporate job, you'll do a thing in your life that you go, I'm not really sure, is this ethical or good for the world, or is it neutral? And like, the answer to that question might not matter, you know, but like, I think we could all relate to a time where we've done a thing and gone, I didn't do anything illegal, I didn't do anything unethical, I didn't do anything bad, but I didn't do that for me. It didn't make anybody's lives better, you know?
Yeah,
and I think that's the position that guy's in. Like, there's nothing wrong in our society as it exists with working at a healthcare company and like patenting medicine, right? Like, that's not, it's objectionable for like our system sucks, but it's not like amoral from the way our society's set up. So, until he like shoves the girl on the boat, like, you know, he's fine.
Yeah.
And then the daughters, the young girls tract was very interesting. She's very excited to be out on the water. She's clearly daddy's little girl. She's excited, blah, blah, blah. The trauma event happens. It gets them on the boat. She's traumatized. That makes sense. But when she gets on the island, she becomes nonverbal for like 4 hours. And that's like enough for them to mention it to us.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden she's back in herself again. And I was like, wait a minute. Did she have trauma that non-verbalized her? Or what?
But she had a little friend. Remember, she had the little dinosaur baby in her backpack.
The Triceratops that somehow ported down the river.
I don't know.
That wasn't the same Triceratops, right? Like, that was a different one.
I have no idea. But
I mean, like, in universe, right? Like, it had to have been. We just told her it was the same guy, you know?
I don't really know. But the fact that they said, is she going to be okay? I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure is what one of them said. Like, is she going to be okay? And the answer was, I don't know. And that's accurate, because even if she starts talking a few hours later, that doesn't mean she's going to be fine.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's a lot. And like, the frying that happens to a central nervous system in a scenario like that is absolutely crazy. But yeah, they did actually acknowledge that. Like, I don't think in any of the other movies did they ever acknowledge that, we see this kid who's physically fine and we're asking still if they're okay. Because before it's always like, oh, great, you're alive. That's all we care about. You're alive. Like, it was kind of another layer of recognition, I felt like.
Do you want to be? Yeah, like, hey.
But you want to still be, right? You're
right,
you're
yeah.
wanting to be with us.
Is that easy? Like, is being alive easy? Like, it was really nice to have. I do agree. Despite, like, my gripes with her character development, I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, and
the recognition that your family is also confused and scared in those moments, right? Like the families of people that are like fried and like suffer from trauma, like they're also just like in the dark. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's definitely real, and you don't really know. Yeah, nobody really knows how that's going to go until it happens, because I mean, that is what's so crazy to me about brains, is they are so complex. We still know so little, and they're so completely nuanced, every single one of them, and you cannot reasonably predict how any brain injury or trauma will ever go for a person, really, because like each one is so unique. And it's absolutely crazy that like it's 2025 and we've been studying it now for however long, and we still know like this much, and it's kind of crazy, but it's also kind of cool because it's also weird and meta of like the thing we're studying, we're using the thing we're studying to study the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's like weird.
And that's bad in most cases, right? Like it's inaccurate in almost every case. Like if you ask any group of a sample to survey themselves, that data is worthless. You know, and so it's kind of really interesting. Like we're not good at examining ourselves like that's in fair. Other contexts. So why would we be with our brain?
Yeah,
you know?
That's fair. So that makes me, you just said something that makes me kind of weirdly optimistic then, is if we have been bad at it because we are it and we have all these biases and things that we like don't want to see, or, you know, whatever in our way, AI doesn't care. So what can AI see that maybe we weren't wanting to see or weren't thinking to look for in some of these like cases where people are using it in research or like in like mapping stuff, or, you know, like it could find things that we didn't know how to look for, which is encouraging to me.
I'm much less AI positive than you are.
I work in marketing.
Right. Yeah. I use Copilot every once in a while, so I'm coming along, you know. I use generative AI models every 7th or 8th business day.
I use it every 15.
I guess to kind of tie in, like I'm reading a book called The Shallows, and then How the Internet Impacts Our Brain is the full title.
Okay.
And basically is analyzing the path of how humans consumed information. So we started out with like hieroglyphs on the walls, and then we went to chipping in the tablets, and then we went to writing, then we went to the printing press. And the way our brains process information with each of those medium changes, right?
Yeah.
And it gets interesting because people that went from like typewriter to pen, or pen to typewriter, I should say, they had similar issues that we have now with like printed word to internet, or like post-internet with AI and stuff, and like, but it's just more exacerbated with the internet and with like post-internet like generative AI stuff. So it's just really interesting to kind of follow that now as the trend of like our brains are adapting to the way we consume information, maybe not for the better, but or maybe just not even for a better or worse. It's just different, and like that's okay.
Yeah, it is different, but I mean, I think there is still always that question, which is at the heart of Jurassic Park, of we can, so we do.
Oh, good tie-in. Look at that.
Not like, listen, I've gotten better at this.
That's some professional shit.
So the can and the should, but also you said something like interesting about how our brains process information. And what I find fascinating, and the first thing I wrote down when I was like making my notes for today was thinking about how we learn things, because, you know, somewhere in that like timeline that you were talking about was oral tradition, which I actually talked about on my last episode a little bit, of like the mechanism by which we transmitted information was a hero's journey. It was often like how we kind of formed narrative and details around, because it had like certain like pieces that we could remember, so that it made the peripheral information around it easier to remember as well. And so it was like, so that's why you resonate more with a story or a movie that like fits that mold. So there's like a hero has a problem, meets a guide who like gives them a plan on how to solve this problem and calls them to action, which results in either avoidance of failure or success. And so like those stages of a story are like hardwired kind of into our brains still. That's why. So if you get bored or you are like uninterested or you're confused, it's probably because a movie or a story deviated a little too much from that, because your brain kind of like is able to like relax and pay attention a little better, because it's like it's literally like a hardwired kind of pathway from way back when that's still in there, because we keep doing it still with movies and books and everything. So what's interesting is like we still do that, but and that's like how we learned things in the past, and we keep telling these stories. But what I'm starting to feel like is, are we listening to these stories? Like, are we paying attention? No. Because literally, there are so many movies. There are like 7 now movies about why you shouldn't bring dinosaurs back to the earth. And you know what we did last year, Jordan, or early this year? We brought them back. We brought them back. What the hell, man? I mean...
Dude. Yeah, so the reason they answer that question is because you have people like the girl that responded to your TikTok and was like, "Don't make this deeper than it is." There's no amount of media that person can consume that's going to teach her anything.
That right? Is fair. And I literally, my first thought was like, if you think this movie is just about dinosaurs, I don't know how to help you.
Yeah, that woman could watch The West Wing and think it's just a TV show, right? Yeah. Like, there's no amount of storytelling or oral tradition or just experience, because, well, it's just everything's an isolated event to people. Like that, this whole 7 movie series is like humans doing things they shouldn't be doing and going places they don't belong.
Yep.
And like, they even acknowledge that. We put them at the equator because they're happy there and they don't bother us. This guy sails his daughter and girl and 2 daughters and their boyfriend. Yeah, like, man, like, you know, I just crazy. Like, this dad's a bad dad, right? Like, or like an irresponsible dad, maybe.
At least hubris. He's got a lot of hubris, if nothing else.
Yeah, to say, oh, we've done it before. Well, like, I've driven without my seatbelt on before. Right, that doesn't make it a good idea. Do it all the time. I shouldn't have done it. Yeah, like there was no reason to do that. Like, you know, you weren't going down there to get medicine, like to save your life. You were just doing it because I wanted to take my kids on the boat. What an idiot! Yeah,
that was pretty. Yeah, so like this idea that we have these patterns in our brains and that they're like. And that's how we learned, and we are still, if we want to, have the capacity to learn things. And that's like kind of my whole thing with this thing I've been doing, is like trying to either, you know, maybe there are people that like cannot figure it out themselves. Like if I threw them in and said, you need to tell me the themes of this story and what we learned from it if your life depended on it, there's probably some people that can't do it. But maybe they can at least understand, and I don't know if this is real, or they're probably what's happening is those people don't care enough to listen. But if they did, I would hope that it would help them think about it more interestingly and critically, at least for the time they're listening to our conversation. But my other hope is maybe some people who didn't think that way but can and are interested in that, like maybe it gives them like a first step. Like, because I think, you know, like people always say you learn from your mistakes. You don't have to make the mistake. There's plenty of other people that did. And there, you know, if you listen to other humans and you read and listen to history, like we don't have to personally make every single mistake ourselves to know what the outcome will be. Like that's just craziness.
Yeah. Like, you're allowed to fill in the blanks, right?
Yeah, like, you're allowed to extrapolate that this outcome for that person might also happen to me too if I put my hand inside the lion's cage. Like it just, but what is interesting about that, and I think part of our problem is the mechanism in that storytelling is that, you know, so if we're using that even to talk about our own lives, like, and the outcome, let's say, is a successful, considerate, evolved person kind of life. We live in isolation a lot now. So like the crux of the story, like turning point, is they meet some other person that they have enough of a relationship with that they trust at some point to like believe that they have an answer or a solution or their best interest at heart, to like tell them something that they're willing to listen to and then move forward with it. And I think part of it is we don't have enough of those like situations to like see ourselves in the mirror like through someone else's eyes, because like to your point, our brain can only see so much of it, like, and so I think we're not having enough conversations with other people about what we are or aren't doing to know that, like, one, to know, like, did someone else do this and there was maybe a reason why I shouldn't. So we're not even learning from other people's mistakes. Two, am I repeatedly doing something that I shouldn't be doing that I don't realize is my own doing because I don't have someone around to tell me it's you, you're the problem. And I think that is a big part of why we don't learn from stories anymore, because we're not learning from our own story because there's like limited perspective because we're only really running it by ourselves. And I think that's maybe, I can't imagine someone was like, I'm gonna do the Jurassic Park thing, and he told his friends and everyone was like, great idea. Like, you know, maybe he just had enough money and he just did what he wanted. But I do think isolation is part of our like repeated cycle of thinking like we're not getting feedback we don't trust other people and we're not interacting with them as much. And I feel like just like on a personal level, we're repeating things and we're not realizing patterns that we're getting into. And then we live those patterns out loud when we vote and when we do whatever. And it's just like basically technology made us isolated, because back to our original Jurassic Park thing is Twitter is the internal Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Now, do you realize a little bit of the irony in you saying that, but also being a massive advocate for AI?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. I don't even think I think you could hold two competing ideas in your mind at the same time.
Yeah,
I just was like, I just thought that
I think there are ways that AI is being used and can be used, and that is, like I said earlier, probably not great for us. But like, I also think if used in a thoughtful way or in a supportive way, that we can like kind of use it as a springboard. But again, that's the difference of like maybe even like learning from like studying the genetics of these dinosaurs versus like trying to make money off of them. Like, you know, like I feel like learning like about nature itself from them, like maybe someone like Jonathan Bailey's character wanted to do, versus like theme park experimenter people, like he wanted them because he thought they were like glorious beings and we are like blessed by them being back in some way, versus like there's like I think there's a reverence, like a respect for and like a appreciation of the power of like a technological or scientific thing that could potentially be wielded badly.
Completely agree. The whole first movie, I mean, it's on an isolated island. You had to go to it. There's several guardrails set up throughout the whole thing. There was like a point of failure that was caused by a bad actor, right? So I think it's respectable use of technology in the first one. Hubris, full of hubris.
Yeah. No,
bad, right?
Always, we don't think the worst thing can happen. There's only so much you can say about these Jurassic Park movies because they all do tend to circle around the same themes. I feel like this was a fun refresh. I'm glad we got another shot at it. I don't think we need another trilogy.
Nope.
I think this was fun. Let's put it away for a little while, and then we'll see where we see in, a few years if we feel so inclined.
Completely agree.
Yeah. Well, this was fun though.